And Shinagogo, baby, what's good, guys? Yoku here. And Prydwen released their tier list earlier today, and for those that don't know, I had 2 tier list videos that came out which pretty much explained my issue when it comes to tier lists and the gacha community. And maybe it's not just the gacha community, right? But I do have a big issue with tier lists overall, and it makes me call tier list BS. So let me explain that. So we're here over on Prydwen, and there's 2 things. One, I need to be able to show you guys the blog that I'll click on that in a moment. But my biggest, hey, yo, thank you for subscribing, Ricardo. You got that live. That's crazy. Anyway, my biggest issue when it comes to tier lists is the simple fact that this doesn't exist. This whole block of tier, right? All this highlighted should not exist. Double S, S plus, and S tier physically should not exist. That's not how tier lists work. And I understand, again, I really only see this in the gacha community. I understand that for whatever reason, I think you guys put this stuff here so that you feel better about characters that you have in your account or that you pull, whether that be the only character you have or you just really like the character. I don't know. But when it comes to an actual like placement, if S tier is the creme de la creme, the top of the top, how can you have something above the top of the top? It doesn't make sense. Now I will admit S plus, I'm okay with that, right? Like you can have S tier and then something that's so broken, so good that it goes above top of the top. It's that good. I get it. We do that a lot in fighting games. It's done in a few other games. I totally get it. Right here though, having a standard S tier and then S plus tier and then a double S tier, this is just pandering at this point, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. So I want to break all of this down. I'm gonna also come into the ABC because this is where most of this stuff should be, but breaking everything down right here for a moment. So real quick, just so I can show you guys, this is probably what I would tier something, right? Like if I'm looking at a tier list, this is probably what I would go through and put these things here. I'll make a video. Wow, I'll make a video. It'll probably release this weekend, and then it'll explain all these placements. But S tier, A tier, A minus tier, B, and C. A plus doesn't exist. So A plus is A tier, right? Like this is your what, 95, if we're using numbers, this is 95 to 99, right? S tier is 100 and beyond. This is 95 to 99. This is 90 to 94. B tier and then C tier. These 2 or whatever. This is how tier lists should function, that there's standards and then everything beneath or one thing above. Now with that said and that in mind, we can break this down, right? Zila is definitely at the top. I personally would put Zila in S tier. I think that Zila separates a lot of the rest of the cast, and I think the only other character that can match that is Clara. I think Clara and Zila belong in S tier, and that's it. No one else goes in S tier up here as far as we're talking about damage dealing, right? DPSs. I think Zila is fine, right? Explaining this, she's just, I don't want to use the term broken. Zila is the DPS character. She doesn't care if there's 50 enemies on the field, if there's one. In fact, she wants 50 different enemies on the field, right? Because of her passive, the ability to activate Resurgence. It's awesome. It's great. She does a lot of damage, and something that most players are not using or utilizing right now is the fact that Zila can actually do more than one build. Right now, everybody's focusing on the whole crit rate, a bunch of crit damage, and then go from there. But there are at least 2 other builds that I've discovered with Zila that are performing pretty well. They just, you know, it's harder for characters or players to be at level 40 to show this stuff off. So the concepts exist. I don't want to throw them out into the ethos that like, oh, the break build is the better build. I'm not throwing anything out there. I'm just explaining to you guys that when a character has multiple builds, they're already at the top of the list in terms of damage, speed, and everything else. Yes, that character goes in S tier, if not right above S tier. So wherever they play Zila, that's fine. Just remove the double S because I think double S is stupid, but it is what it is. I think Clara does something in the game that, like, damage is cool, right? That's not really the reason I think Clara is up here. I mean, yeah, she does a lot of damage. I think Clara is up here because she does something in turn-based games that shouldn't exist, but the characters that do have this function automatically jump up towards the top of the tier list, okay? Clara negates the whole turn order schematic. As long as Clara or the team takes damage, done. She's doing damage. As long as she gets hit, as long as someone's attacking her, she is going to be doing whatever number of damage that she needs to, regardless of the crit. And then you take into account, oh, it's my turn now. Okay, I'm gonna summon Savarog. He's gonna do whatever. I'm gonna use my ultimate. Now the whole team's protected. All this kind of stuff happens. So she belongs up here because of the same thing that Zila does, right? Zila skips the whole turn order thing. She negates it using her passive and using her high speed. Clara doesn't care about speed and negates it simply for the fact that if you touch me, you die. That they belong in S tier. That's it. No other DPS character, no Yangqing, no Su Shang, no Hook, especially not Dong Hung and Hook. No, none of them are in S tier because you have to have a separated standard, right? If Su Shang is not doing the same damage, the same turn order skipping and everything else, the same function as Zila at the same output, they can't be in the same tier. It's physically impossible for them to be in the same tier. It doesn't make sense. If Hook cannot do the same thing as Clara, it's physically impossible for her to be in the same tier. Don Hung, same thing. They can't be here. And of course, you can come into the supports, right? This is a whole different topic, which supports get a little touchy. But ultimately, I think these two are fine, right? Like I said, they would go in just straight up S tier. There's no reason to have them S plus and then double S or anything like that. This is, the letters are just pandering to people who want to see, oh, my character's S tier. And it's like, yeah, but in reality, they're A tier because, you know, the lettering, the placements don't make sense. Don Hung, Hook, Su Shang, Yangqing. These four, I think, sit in, relatively speaking, somewhere near the same tier. I do think Yangqing and Su Shang are better than both of these characters. Now, I will explain this. I think Don Hung is solid. I think he's great for the free character that we get. I don't think Don Hung is the S tier character that some people are making him out to be. That's not me saying that he's weak. I don't think he's anything like he's not like B tier or some crazy crap like that. I think he's a fine A tier. He's cool. He's solid. He's strong. He does what he needs to do, and he gets it done. I just don't think that he has any type of cheese, right? He's not skipping anything. He's not breaking a game mechanic. There's nothing that reliably puts him in S tier, in my opinion. I think Hook is the same way. Now, granted, if there were a whole different tier where I could give you Eidolons, like with Eidolons, right? Hook with Eidolons jumps to S tier because she does things that she just, it's not that she shouldn't do them. It's that the things that she's doing have now been enhanced tenfold. So that damage alone jumps to S tier. I think Dong Hung is the same way. Su Shang at E0, I think she belongs here, right? This S tier would essentially be my A tier. I think Su Shang belongs here. I think Yangqing and Su Shang are in the same tier. I think they're in the same bracket. I also think Himiko is right here. I think Himiko, Su Shang, and Yangqing are in the same placement. The reason I think that, just because Himiko is, we can't build her, right? This character is permanently offline. Let me say that now. No one is in the game yet to where they can get to her third ascension or max ascension, whatever it is, the trace level 3, the full geared out, you know, proper light cone, all this kind of stuff. This is a high investment character. She is an insanely high investment character in order to do everything that she wants to do. She can get the damage out for the erudition class. It hits AoE, that's fine. Right now we have a hard on, not me, but we as in a lot of y'all have a hard on for single target characters, right? If you notice, everything that's in S tier is mostly single target minus Clara. Clara is the only one that's not single target. Everybody else is single target, and I get it. Single target's great, but I'm not gonna dump the fact that single targets just do an insane amount of damage compared to AoE. I think we just don't have them built. That it is what it is, right? Like Himiko doesn't have the opportunity to get built and go online. Once she does, you're gonna see a completely different, oh man, Himiko's S tier again. Himiko's this, Himiko's that. Like, oh, she blows things up and then activates her passive immediately. All that kind of stuff is gonna happen. Yangqing, I made a community post about this. This character slept on. I said it during the beta and I'm saying it again. This character is 100% slept on. I originally, during the beta, I had him comparable to Zila. I thought the both of them were in the same bracket. Now that the game is out and I've been able to play with Yangqing with his light cone, I've been able to play with Zila with her light cone, vice versa. Yangqing is just, he can't do what Zila does. Now there's a way that he can still negate turn order, right? Which is freezing. So this is why I believe he is being slept on, and there's a number of other things that he can do. He doesn't need to invest in crit as much as the other characters do, and being able to perma-freeze the entire board so that they just never get a chance to move, and you're fast enough, you're strong enough, you're always critting to be able to kill something or take something out. He can't be anything less than whatever an A plus would be, right? A tier. It's just, he can't. He would have to be devastatingly bad, trash, an ass character to be that way. Moving over to the rest of these, again, I don't think that you can have S pluses and the S and the double S's and all that kind of stuff. I think these are fine. I think Bronya and Ting Yun sit in the same spot. They're pretty much the same character. Realistically, I think Ting Yun is right beneath Bronya, but it's not so much that Ting Yun is how do I put it? If I were to place Bronya here and then move Ting Yun here, right? Ting Yun is not so weak or not so unusable that she belongs beneath Bronya an entire tier placement. It's literally like a micro adjustment tier placement. So them being next to each other is fine. I think Welt is strong. I don't think Welt is S tier, especially with the fact that slow doesn't work the way that you would want it to work per se. I think imprisonment is strong, and I think because he's the only character in the game that has access to imprisonment, I think that's why people value him so highly right now. This, again, not me saying he's weak. He's not up here. I think Pela is a tier down, right? She's not S tier. I love this character. I think this character slept on too. I think she's amazing. I think she's going to come into her own really soon. And a lot of people are going to be begging to use Pela, right? But for right now, I do believe Pela is just A tier, because in order for her to jump up, Pela needs everything else in order, right? Like every other character needs to be on point for Pela to really help them take advantage of that. Versus Bronya doesn't care who's on the team. She's gonna make you buff. Like, she's gonna do work. Ting Yun is the same way. Both of these characters are like that. Finally, we can move over here to the defensive supports. I agree with this. Bailu, Japard, Trailblazer, Fire MC. Those are fine. Those three are totally fine. Natasha and March 7th are totally fine. Again, my main issue with this list, or like a lot of this, is the letter placement itself, right? The alphabetical placements themselves should not exist. And then you come down here for the final thing. I do think Herta is the worst character in the game. Unless you're farming, then she's one of the best characters in the game. Her and Himiko make the best farming combo, period. I think Arlen and Physical MC are pretty bad, yes. I think Asta is just okay. I think Serval is just okay to bad. Like, Serval is 50-50. She could be right down here with Arlen and Physical MC, or she could be up here. I think the reason that Serval right now is a little higher is because she's free. Everyone gets her, and then we also get her light cone for free, and it's a little easier to superimpose it because you can pull multiple copies. I think Sampo is slept on, and I think Xingji, I think is how you pronounce her name. I think these two characters are slept on. I think Sampo is going to come into his own once we get into the DOT meta, and I think she can literally jump up to like where, maybe not where Zila's damage is, but somewhere around here, right? Somewhere around Zila and Clara damage. Definitely S tier range, simply because of the fact that it's RNG. If you hit all 4 tiles, she's built properly, she does her thing. You hit the lotto, she's killing something and blowing everything up. If you don't hit the lotto, you lose. It comes down to that. That's simple. But that's going to be it for me. I really just wanted to go over that tier list because I see a lot of people talking about it, and I saw a lot of flack on Reddit for this tier list. And then I saw a lot of people actually agreeing with me about the placements on letters. And it's no flack to Prydwen at all. It's mostly along the lines of me coming from a completely different background related to gacha before I got into gacha games, and understanding that these are typically how tiers work and how like the letter placement works. It's just like math, or not math, school. It's like school, right? You don't expect to get a 107, right? That's something that we got when we were in middle school, elementary, right? You get like bonus points or whatever. That's what your S plus tier is, right? Your S tier or your S plus tier is the bonus points. Oh yeah, you got a 107. Okay, well then that goes up there. But as of an SS tier, and you can't have all that, man. Anyway, let me know your comments down below if you agree or disagree with that tier list. If you have your own tier list, share it with me in my Discord. I think some of us have been talking about that for a little bit now, and just like ranging characters from what we think and theorycraft and all that. Regardless, I think that's it for me, guys. Comment, subscribe. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Yes, the tier list that you saw, I am going to make a video on all the placements and why I put them there. Smell you later.